and welcome to our side yard growing series. In this series, I'm going to be showing you all the plants that we're growing in this small and challenging space. This applies to pocket yards as well. And if you have a fence, it can block out the sunlight. So one way to reach for the sun is to grow in an elevated bed. And I just replaced our bed that was built years ago with this gifted Vago Garden bed. And so far I'm liking it. It's got a good height on it, and then it's got very strong supported panels, so it's not going to wobble or go anywhere. If you'd like to know more about this product or just get a better look at it, check the previous episode. So today I'm going to be transplanting some peppers. We're in mid-April now, and I'm a little bit behind on transplanting peppers, but today is just as good as a day as any other. As far as this space, it's a proven space for growing bell peppers and shishito peppers. We get a good amount of sun. It's hard to tell right now because the lighting's perfect for the camera, but the sun's gonna come over, and then in the afternoon, because it's now getting towards summer, it's gonna come right through here, and we get a nice sliver of really good growing area. And then as it sets, it's gonna come in this way. So just be mindful about your space and what kind of sunlight you get as the year changes. But for us, this is perfect for bell peppers. And then the other thing is, growing in Southern California, we get a lot of heat and a lot of sunlight. So that means we can pack a lot of plants into a small space. So this 2x4, stick around in this series. You'll be amazed by how much we can grow in here. We can also put a vining plant in here and utilize this chain link that's back here still as a trellis for the vines to grow. So be on the lookout for that. Although down here I have a volunteer cucumber that's growing, so we're probably not going to put a cucumber. We'll probably put something else, but stick around and see. So today I'm going to show you what I'm going to be planting in here. So I got 3 shishito plants. I actually have 4, but I'm going to stick with planting the 3 because that's what we had last year. And then we had a Eula Wonder in this spot, and I think I'm gonna put in this orange bell pepper. So Eula Wonder is a bell pepper. I'm gonna put in this orange bell pepper here as well. So that's what we're gonna start with. And let me move all of this stuff to the sides here. And then I'm gonna move this tray out of the way, and we'll get to planting. I just planted the Eula Wonder bell pepper and the orange bell pepper. I had some technical difficulties with this camera right here. So we're gonna plant the other shishito peppers together. What I have are some amendments that I like to use. I got some Espoma Hollytone, and I also have some blood meal, and then I have some crab meal. This soil is pretty loose because it's just filled, so I can go in and move it around with just my hands. So I won't be needing my hori knife. Hori. Let's see, as far as space, we have the bell peppers about 6 to 8 inches apart. And then the shishitos, they can grow pretty densely. And these are volunteer plants down here. And when I up-potted these pepper plants, I up-potted it from the old raised bed that was here, and we had a lot of volunteer shishito pepper seeds because the mother plant is here. So this plant was growing in the old planter, and right before replacing it, I dug it up and put it in this container because then we can get some early harvests of the shishitos. But you can see all the red ones here. They dropped, and we have a bunch of volunteers. So when it comes to peppers, they can be tricky to grow because I think oftentimes the seeds are older when you buy them. So if you get some fresh seeds, and especially if you have a bunch of seeds, they can just volunteer and grow like weeds. So you may see me picking out some volunteer plants from our pots. So I think I want this plant here because I'm going to reserve this little front row here for planting other things like maybe bok choy later on. So we're going to put that there. And then I also have an Oya that I was using in the past, and I wonder if I want to reuse it here. So let me show you what it looks like. So here's the Oya. And maybe what I will do is I will put the Oya right here for the peppers. Although last year it wasn't really here for them. Let me do that, because sometimes it's hard to get this area irrigated. So I guess the other challenge of this space is the irrigation aspect. Let me adjust the camera, because I think we just get my forehead when I get real close. Here, let's do this together real quick instead of stopping. Okay. So the challenge in this space is, since it's in the side yard and it's not a space that you travel to very often, you may not irrigate it as often. And so the Oya is a good insurance policy against during the times you just can't get around to watering, and or you go on vacation. So let me put that there like that. Bury this Oya. Yeah, that's good. We want it nice and deep, because we're gonna backfill. This bed's gonna settle and we're gonna backfill. Okay, we're gonna get in some of the blood meal, some crab meal. So crab meal is it's great for, I'm thinking of other plant, the tomatoes, because supposedly the crab meal attracts the beneficial bacteria that will fight root knot nematodes. And tomato plants are very susceptible to root knot nematodes, so that helps with that. But I found that the peppers we haven't had problems with peppers and root knot nematodes. But I put it in here just for good measure, especially since we buy it in bulk, like a 40-pound bag, so we have a lot and we only need a little bit. So there's one plant. And then the blood meal is a great boost of nitrogen, so we want a lot of foliage to grow. The last thing that we're not going to do is the espoma. Epsom salt. So we're going to let the plants settle for a little bit, and then afterwards we're going to put the Epsom salt on top, because if we put the Epsom salt now, then when we water in to settle the plants, we're going to leach all the Epsom salt away. And Epsom salt is, I think, is it magnesium? Yeah, it's magnesium. So pepper plants really like magnesium, so that helps them out. And we don't need to feed it all the time. I think it's just at time of planting, and maybe mid-season we'll sprinkle some more around the plants and water it in. And then the espoma is just a good all-around amendment that'll feed the plants. Okay, we got one planted, and let me move. We're gonna plant the other two real quick. Okay, we have the last one to plant together. So I just want to give you a little bit more detail. So first I'm going to move some soil out of the way, and then with peppers I like to plant them a little bit more deeply, but not as deep as the tomatoes. So I may cover up the soil, see the stem down here, all the way to where the first nodes begin and they start to branch out. So that's how deep we're going to transplant them. And then as far as amendment, I go in with about a tablespoon, a good grab of some hollytone espoma, and then maybe half a tablespoon of the blood meal. And then with the crab meal, I can be generous with it as well, since again we have a good amount of it and it's relatively inexpensive. So in the whole, I like to just kind of measure a little bit, and this one we can go a little bit more deep because it's got a pretty good stem base down there. So that's what we have. And as far as when it comes to peppers and topping them off, there are a couple of ways to go about it, and it all comes to how soon you want your crop. So if you top it off, it allows for a lot of branching to happen, where more potential for fruit to form, but that means you're delaying when you get your first harvest. So you may want to do that, or you may not want to. Like for instance with jalapenos, maybe you're more excited about getting an early harvest because you're not eating a lot of jalapenos. But for the shishitos, we eat them a little bit more differently. We want a lot of them because we're going to be blistering them or making condiments with it. So maybe we can top it off and wait a little bit longer to get that big harvest. But it all comes down to variety too, because the shishitos is a natural. It seems to be a natural lateral branching type of plant, so we don't need to do that. The bell peppers, we don't necessarily need to top it off too, because we're excited about getting an early harvest. So we're going to leave it as it is. And as I mentioned earlier, I may just take off the lateral growth because it's going to produce more than we need. And this is all a function of your climate too, because if you're in a different climate, you're probably going to want to do different things. So play around with that. There's just a lot of general gardening advice that doesn't take into the minutia, the nuances of people's needs and climate. So just keep those things in mind when you see these types of tips online. So yeah, I think we have our plants in here, and I was gonna transplant a cucumber plant with you together, but as I mentioned earlier, we have volunteer one down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up our pots, and I'm going to give this bed a good watering. There's still some room for more soil, and one product I like to use as a mulch is the Kellogg garden soil. So at some point you may see that there's mulch on here. So we're gonna do that sometime in the future. Let me clean all this stuff up and water it in. So I'm gonna leave you with the watering video, and I'll see you in the next video in this growing series. As far as what we're going to be growing in here, there's some pots off to the side that we can use to grow, and then I'll for sure give you some updates on how these pepper plants are growing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.